To start, the title for this webinar is IBM software licensing. We're looking at the key SAP capacity clauses in the new revised International Passport Advantage Agreement, which was released in November 1st, 2017. There is a disclaimer for this that the presentation is compiled at goodwill from documentation that we mostly got from the IBM publications. And IBM has not endorsed this presentation, and neither did we request for an endorsement. So we're not responsible for errors, omission, and misinterpretation. Please contact your local IBM representative if there is any need for clarification. So the content, there is an introduction, then later we'll discuss the IBM software licensing options, and we'll look at the subcapacity licensing requirements. Then we will see what are the key clauses that we want you as IBM business partners to watch so that you can we can take care of your customers. Then we will conclude. As an introduction, we know that most of modern organizations are running IT infrastructures which they have some type of virtualized technologies. So it is known to many that IBM software that run on such environments can attract a lot of savings for the customer, but can also become a burden if not attended to properly. There are rules that we need to follow and we should abide to them. So there is an agreement which customers sign when they buy IBM software, which is the International Passport Advantage Agreement. And we shared the link with previous emails that we shared with the community. So as a part of introduction, we want just to elaborate a little bit what is the International Passport Advantage Agreement. It is that agreement that most IBM customers will sign. Most, there is a star because it caters mostly primarily for the distributed environment, distributed architecture environment, but also you have different licensing agreements which exist. IBM has over 140 type of licenses, so you need to have the knowledge from the proof of entitlement on the type of license that govern each customer and each product and even each version, so it depends. So the International Passport Advantage Agreement will govern that relationship as the customer buys the software, and also it governs the renewal, the technical support, and it does cover the SaaS offerings and IBM appliances. In that agreement, we also have the conditions for auditing and what are the client responsibilities. Now, IBM has announced the revision of the Passport Advantage Agreement, which now has an impact on how the audit is conducted and how the reports for the ILMT are shared. We are more concerned about the clauses of 1.12, 1.13, and 1.14. We'll come back to that. So those conditions apply to the new Passport Advantage customers from 1st of November 2017 and for existing customers from 1st of February 2018. In that International Passport Advantage, we have a statement that says that any IBM software that's used through any virtualization technology needs to have monitoring through ILMT. So ILMT installation and reporting becomes compulsory. There is a star at compulsory. Why? Because there are a few exceptions, which we'll look at just in the next slide. So there is a simple rule. There is also a star there to show that there are some exceptions, 3 exceptions to those rules. The rule is simple. If IBM sees you as licensed at full capacity if you don't have ILMT and you're running your software in virtualization. So it's just that simple. You will pay the full capacity. So what is the ILMT? The IBM license metric tool is the only free tool and the one accepted by IBM to make sure that your IBM software usage in the virtualized environment is properly accounted for. We also have the Big Fix inventory, but it is not free. So ILMT is freely available to all IBM Passport Advantage customers. You don't pay for it. It is free, but you need to order. It's a zero value order so that you can be able to receive renewals, upgrades, and technical support. That's why they need you to order it and to register it among your software that you're entitled to as a customer. So what are the licensing options that we have? Mostly, as I mentioned before, there is over 100 types of licensing, but there are 2 big ways that we are interested in. It's based on the processor's capacity. We have the full capacity licensing where all active cores on the server will be licensed, and we have the sub-capacity licensing for virtualized system where we license fewer than the total cores of the servers which are active, and we need to be compliant with the sub-capacity terms. So we need to be compliant with the options that apply to the acquisition of PVU licensing and based on virtual cores capacity of a partition or a virtual machine that is available to the IBM software, and that shouldn't exceed the physical core capacity of the server. So what are the requirements for us to enjoy the sub-capacity licensing? There are some rules that apply in terms of the International Passport Advantage Agreement. They are that the product must be licensed, the product that should be licensed must be eligible to sub-capacity licensing. Most of the products are, very few, I think you can count them, less than 5 products or so in the distributed licensing that will be non-eligible for sub-capacity licensing. The second one is that the virtualization or partitioning technology must be eligible for sub-capacity licensing. And also the processor technology must also be eligible for sub-capacity licensing. For these 3 conditions, they are clearly stated in the Passport Advantage website where more details can be sourced. Then the last one is that the IBM license metric tool must be installed for reporting except in the 3 scenarios. The 3 exceptions are that if the ILMT does not yet provide support for the eligible virtualization environment or for the eligible sub-capacity product, that will be you are not entitled to use ILMT, but you can still report using spreadsheets manually. Or if the IBM enterprise has fewer than 1,000 employees, including contractors, or also if IBM is not, the IBM client is not a service provider, or the IBM client is not using a service provider to manage the licenses for the eligible product that are deployed in the environment, and also the total physical capacity of the client enterprise server measured in full capacity but licensed under subcapacity is less than 1,000 PVUs. Then the last exception is that when the client is licensed at full capacity. So we have, as part of those conditions, that for subcapacity usage of eligible products, the IBM client agrees to install and configure the most current version of IBM license metric tool within 90 days of the first subcapacity eligible product deployment. Then also you will, as a customer, promptly install any updates that are made available by IBM, and you also agree to collect the deployed data. Now, from the revised International Passport Advantage Agreement, what is it that we suggest you watch as a business partner to benefit your customers? We have identified in the revised Passport Advantage Agreement 3 sections that will need your attention. The section 1.12, which deals with the compliance verification. 1.13 deals with the programs in a virtualized environment, and 1.14 deals with clients reporting responsibilities. In terms of verification requirements for ILMT, it is stated that IBM client will maintain reports on the software that has been deployed and licensed to subcapacity. And those reports will be prepared for each quarter. So it's every 3 months, 90 days, we need those reports prepared and maintained for a rolling 2 years period. So you need to keep them safe. Now it is mentioned there that reports must be provided within 30 days. That is very new. If IBM or IBM auditors request for reports, you have 30 days to produce them. Now we've compared on you'll see on the left hand side, we have the same clause for compliance verification 1.12. On the right side, that is the 2014, and on the right side you have the 2018. You shouldn't read that, just to show you how the increase has been done, so you can see the size. So from there we've drawn that ILMT accuracy is now more than required. Before, they wanted customers to have ILMT installed and working. But now they're saying it must be working, and the customer agrees to keep accurate records regarding the ILMT reports. So they must be correct. Then the timelines for audit also has been tightened when it comes to non-compliance. IBM calls the audit, what we see as audit, IBM calls it IBM software review. So it's a better word which doesn't threaten people, because if they talk of audit, it's like it's policing. But if they say review, it's a cooperative mode. We're just reviewing what you have and we will advise you. That's what it means. So there is a new paragraph which says that IBM clients need to agree in writing that whenever the IBM auditor or IBM requests an audit, it will be started within 60 days. That is to cater for any need for alternative confidentiality agreements that people will need, or any documentation that people will need to sign. And an audit can always be executed at all sites for all environments in which the client uses the Passport Advantage Agreement. So if a customer has multiple sites, IBM has the right to go to all sites and do the review. the IBM software review. There is a potential from that clause 1.12 of 2018, there's a potential new cost for audit. So there's a new phrase that deals with invoices where it says the client, the customer, the IBM client agrees to promptly pay directly to IBM the charges that IBM specifies in an invoice for any such excess of use of IBM software if they found anything in excess, and also for any IBM software subscription and support and selected support for such an excess or the lesser of the duration of such an excess use or the 2 years which usually they do 2 years back pay. And there's a third condition which says any additional charges and other liabilities determined as a result of such verification. If you delay too much, for example, beyond the 60 days, if there is a need of additional charges, you are, as a customer, agreeing now that you will pay for it. Then the next one is the 1.13. You can see the size as well. That one also increased on the right hand side, and we've drawn from 1.13 of 2018 that the timelines of audit and results of ILMT non-compliance are stated there. What is new is that in case IBM suspects a client is not compliant and they want a software review, the client will have 30 days to share the ILMT reports and whenever IBM or the IBM auditor requests them. So if the client cannot deliver the reports within 30 days, then IBM will just charge the client at full capacity. And also remember that as a client, you already agree that you will pay the invoice whenever it's presented to you. So it's in the contract already. So we should read it this way then. IBM customers must just now exist in a permanent state of readiness for IBM software audit or IBM software review, as they call it at IBM. Why? Because if you are not ready within the 30 days, especially for bigger customers, it will be almost impossible for you to ready your reports within 30 days. So customers must just be ready before any IBM software review request comes from IBM or IBM auditors. We have the clause 1.14 on the left hand side you see the 2014 version, and on the right hand side you see the 2018 version, just the size, so it is also a bit increased, and from there we can draw that they stress on people to subscribe to remain updated. IBM customers are now required to subscribe to IBM software support notifications when updates are available. So you need to have a person, or the customers need to, each customer need to have a person who will be receiving those notifications so that they can immediately be notified, and they should be using the most updated version of ILMT. That is the reason for that. That will give IBM comfort that you will also have accurate ILMT reports at the latest version whenever they ask for it. And also the second bullet is that the customers also need to provide accurate reports and will not alter them, delete for any purpose. Why is it significant? It's because almost 60% of bundling. Bundling means linking your components that are part of a licensed software um, in a correct way. So the software bundling is automatically done at almost 60%. So you need to adjust manually the rest of it, which will make it around 40%. Because bundling takes time, so the changes will require that you always have your reports ready all the time. Then you, as a customer, you need to keep one report every quarter. That's the minimum. That's 90 days, and keep them for a rolling 2 years. There are also other clauses that are of importance. Is that if a client is transferring a license across to another country, across the border, and if there is any tax to be paid, the client agrees to pay that tax. And also, IBM now says that if you no longer in support, you will also not benefit the technical support from IBM. They used to be lenient, but now they say it will be cut off immediately that your agreement expires. To conclude, we see that in terms of IBM software licensing, business partners and customers must understand what applies in terms of the International Passport Advantage Agreement. And we have, for any customer that, especially in a virtualized environment, ILMT is compulsory, and it can save the users millions, and also put them in a financial risk if it's not installed or if it's not managed properly, as indicated in the agreement. And IBM clients in virtualized environment must understand the compliance processes so that they can reduce their financial risks. And as implied in the International Passport Advantage, you are licensed at full capacity if you don't have ILMT and you are using the virtualized environment. If those processes are non-existent, the client will be at risk of violating the subcapacity terms, which can result in large charges, fines for their physical environment, and possible backdated fines or extra fines. And non-compliance fines are just very, very frustrating. They bring frustrations, conflicts, and sour relationships between IBM customers, IBM business partners, even IBM sales in the channel. So it is not nice. What are the opportunities for IBM business partners? They can advise and streamline the IBM software licensing for customers in terms of licenses control, licenses renewal, and they can, in the process, generate some revenue streams for themselves. IBM business partners can save money, reduce the non-compliance risk for IBM customers, and the saving can be rerouted towards either buying new software or acquiring increased software so that customers can use them in their business processes. And also, IBM business partners can assist customers to understand and install ILMT. There is some maintenance and support services they can derive out of that. As Kisalu Consulting, we've compiled a face-to-face training workshops for ILMT, and these free webinars that we're running as well. If there is any information needed, you can go send us an email to sales@kisalu.com. The last one, number 4, is that there is also an opportunity to upsell IBM Big Fix inventory. The IBM license metric tool tracks the IBM software usage, but the same code is upgraded for any other software, including your Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, Adobe, BMC, including your in-house software. And for that, IBM Big Fix inventory can be used. IBM Big Fix inventory is not free, but can be used, can be suggested to customers that would like to track software usage beyond, including IBM. So the IBM Big Fix inventory will be accepted by IBM for IBM software and other software. That's it for this presentation. I don't know if you have questions then or views to share. They are all welcome. Thank you. Nozuko?
Yes.
You have questions?
No, not at the moment. I'm still new, so I was just listening, just getting a better understanding of the process. But I'm sure the next one I'll have some questions.
Oh no, I saw your microphone turning at.
Oh, okay. I probably just mistakenly touched it.
Not a problem. So that was the presentation for now. We have the same presentation in the afternoon, and tomorrow we'll be doing a different presentation and a few examples in terms of licensing.
Okay.
If there are no questions, we will close the call. But I thank you so much for participating, and I'm sure we will engage again in the webinars or any other forum that we are trying to make available. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.